This is a piece of curly maple off of the wood pile. As I move the light, you can see how the grain runs in 3 dimensions. Okay? See how it raised, how we have hills and valleys all the way up and down this piece of wood. All right. Now, if you look at wood from the end, right? We're not talking surface prep now, we're just talking the end. What you have is a bunch of straws. Okay, wood fiber is basically straws that are either transporting nutrients from the ground up or from the tree down, sugars down from the trees to the roots. And then as those active layers of the tree go through seasons after seasons, they slowly get pushed to the center, and that's the characteristic of the wood. Now, what we'll do is demonstrate this a little bit with a couple drops of water. So we're going to use some drops of water to show that this is the end of the straw, where liquids and things transfer quickly, and this is the side of the straw where there isn't that same amount of liquid transfer. Okay, for the purposes of this discussion, this face of the wood we're going to call end grain. And we're going to take a drop of water, we're going to stick it on the end grain, and you can see how quickly it absorbs. I mean, it's just like that. 1 drop of water, and it just absorbs right away. Now, we're going to call this side long grain. If I can get it to stand up. Okay, long grain. Now we're going to take a drop of water and stick it on the long grain. And you can see, can you see? The water is just sitting on the surface. Okay, it's not absorbing down in, it's just sitting there. It's right here. Nothing's happened. Okay, that's the long grain. It's just sitting there. It's like sitting on the side of the straw, not being able to get absorbed and wicked up into the straw. Okay, so that's long grain. And end grain is where the straw is open and it absorbs things. Now we'll go one step further. So we've worked a little bit more on this piece of wood here. This is our curly maple, and just trying to create a flat spot. I'm going to come in with sandpaper. I want to get this surface, this flat surface here, completely cleaned up and smooth like it would be your rifle stock. At that point, then we're going to show how this wood here, which is just part of the curly maple, stains differently than the way that we have cut through the wave in the curly maple, and how when those fibers come up, they absorb, like straws, they absorb that stain down into them. And so that's, we should really see the distinctiveness in the stripes here, where we won't see it out in this part of the wood that hasn't had that shearing effect of the plane impacted. So we're going to use Kibler's iron nitrate. Just going to put it on a shop towel, and we're going to rub it into all of this area around here so that you can see. It's going to highlight some of this because some of it got hit by the sandpaper, but you're going to see the distinct difference that this sanded area here, and I'll outline that with Sharpie, but you'll see the distinct difference where this sanded smooth area, where the highs and lows have been sheared off. You'll see how that shows up. But this takes a minute, so we have to let the stain soak in, dry, and then we have to hit it with a heat gun to really get the transformation. Now when you let this dry, it will turn sort of an ugly, flat, dull, puce green, if you want to call it that, puke green, whatever. So we're going to let that dry probably for 30 minutes or more, or maybe even tomorrow, and we'll come back with a heat gun and we'll heat this up, and you'll really see, I mean, you can still see right now how these lines are really standing out, right? This is all that end grain that's sticking up, that's sucking in all of that stain, whereas up in here, if you shine a light on it, it's really not standing out that much at all. But here, that's those lines, that's where we've sheared off the end grain as it's come up out of the wood and gone back down in. We've sheared off that hump, and it's soaked in a whole lot more stain there than it has in these lighter areas. But you can see up in here, where there hasn't been, the sine wave still exists, right? We haven't sheared all that stuff off. You can see that that is not the case. So this is dry. You can use the back of your hand to see if this is any cooler than anything else. It's all dry. So you can see, again, we have accents in these stripes where the end grain has come up out of the wood and we cut it off, or was diving back down into the wood and we cut it off. So you can see that. Now we're going to hit it with a heat gun and we'll do the transformation that is famous when it comes to iron nitrate. And for that, I'm just going to use a Harbor Freight heat gun on low. As I twist it in the light, you can see how the light catches and changes. And that's the advantage, that's the beauty of a piece of wood that has a lot of curl in it. Now let's just hit it with a little bit of oil. So we'll just use a Kibler's gun stock finish and sealer. Again, we're just going to dip a rag into this and use that to pretty dramatic. And you know, up here where we didn't do the cuts, you can just see how it's, the stain just sort of sitting on the surface. But here where it's had a chance to soak in, okay, it really takes on that dramatic tiger stripe, if you want to call it, look. I hope that helps you understand how this curly maple works and what considerations you need to take when you're working with it in order to be successful at the stock finish that you want to achieve.